Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's event hosted by the Warsaw Institute. Today we will take a closer look at the 3Cs Summit that took place last week in Vilnius. Hereby, I'm delighted to welcome my today's guests. Mihai Sebe, Head of European Affairs Department at the European Institute of Romania. Welcome, Mihai.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
And Jan Rafał Lupomecki, expert of the Warsaw Institute. Good evening, Jan.
Good evening from Warsaw. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. My name is Maciej Tyburski. I will be moderating today's debate, which we are able to organize thanks to the support of National Institute of Freedom Center for the Development of Civil Society. Gentlemen, last week the 3C Summit, another one, took place in Lithuania. Many talks were conducted, many news we are facing now, with one of the biggest is Japan joining our initiative as a fourth strategic partner, and Montenegro expressed its intent to associate with the initiative. My question to you for the start is, what does it mean for the region? How can we benefit from that? Mihai Sebe.
Well, the fact that Japan has become a strategic partner for me is important because it shows an increased global interest to our region, to the Three Seas Initiative region, and it also offers the possibility for the member states, for the participating states in the initiative, to have access to places, to market, to economies that otherwise be as easily accessible. Meaning, if you are a landlocked state in Central and Eastern Europe, having Japan as your strategic partner in this initiative may help boost your economy. It is also valid for riparian states such as Romania, Poland, or Croatia, who now may have also new leverage, new ways to enhance their cooperation with Japan. And if you add this important Asian component, South Korea, Japan, we may have just a very dynamic duo that help us to better prepare our economies for the upcoming century and challenges in the social and economic evolution.
Thank you very much. So economic cooperation and economic possibilities, this is what the cooperation with Japan opened for our region. Now I will give the floor to Mr. Lupomecki with the same question of Japan as a strategic partner and Montenegro as an intent to become an associate one. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So regarding Japan, for me, it wasn't such a big surprise that Japan is joining already in 2022 in the summit in Riga, in Latvia. The former foreign minister of Japan showed the interest of Japan joining this platform, this initiative. For Japan, it's a way how to get closer to a very interesting actually market, because we have to bear in mind that the Three Seas initiative has been established as an economic platform of economical cooperation actually. So there is a clear Japan interest to get connected to one of the most dynamic region in Europe nowadays. On the other hand, for the states of the Three Seas initiative, it's a great opportunity how to get connected to Indo-Pacific region, a region which is more than important because of improving supply chain to a lot of businesses in this part part of Europe, but because of geopolitical issues as well. Unfortunately, the focus of the world is going in the direction of Indo-Pacific region, and Europe needs to somehow adapt to this trend, and to somehow, I don't know how to say it, but to bear in mind this trend, and taking Japan to a closer collaboration can benefit on this new direction of the geopolitical development. The same we can say with Montenegro. Montenegro declaring its interest to join the Three Seas initiatives shows that the region cares about the Balkan countries. And if you look on the map of the Three Seas countries, we see there a lack of these Balkan countries, which are now left by the most of the other associations we have in Europe. That's, for example, why the Russian influence is so strong in these countries, because the countries, they are declaring they would like to belong to the Western countries, to the Western civilization, but they are not institutionalized in any of these groups. So it shows their interest in joining the Western civilization countries, groups, and on the other hand, it shows the solidarity of the countries of the Three Seas initiatives, which know from their own experience how important it is that these countries which face the same problems are together, cooperating together, having a common business which fosters the cooperation, and which makes them more resilient to the dangers coming from the east.
Thank you very much. You've mentioned the topic of Western Balkans, so I would like to go deeper into that fascinating topic. During the summit, we underlined the importance of integration of Ukraine, Republic of Moldova, as well as extending the support for Western Balkans. Gentlemen, knowing the current EU policies and the situation on geopolitical map, is it realistic that the deepened regional cooperation with the mentioned countries can speed up their accession to European Union? Mihai Sebe.
I think this is a realistic opportunity for enhance the development process, because we have to mind the characteristic of the Three Seas initiative states. They are all member states of the EU, and they work following the same rules, the acquis communautaire and other rules and regulation. And having countries that are associated in this initiative that are not part of the EU, it will make them to be more accustomed with EU rules and regulation, with EU procedures, and it will help speed up their integration and adaptation process. Also, the Three Seas initiative may be an excellent antechamber before the EU accession. And I will think perhaps in the future that we may have this associated participating, say not only Ukraine, Republic of Moldova, but also deeper in the south, in the Western Balkans. Maybe Montenegro, maybe Albania some days, maybe other country in the region might be a part of it as a way to enhance their EU accession process. The Three Seas initiative is also, in my personal opinion, a laboratory where the participating states and the associated participating states find new ways to deepen their cooperation while also putting at the best use the EU available funds and resources. So if you have the candidate states being associated part of the initiative, putting them into contact even deeper with other EU member states, then all this can only benefit for all the participating states, both in the initiative and candidate states. So at the end of the day, the Three Seas initiative may help boost the enlargement, but in the same time, it needs to become, in my opinion, much more rigorous in its approach toward projects and financing. So if we have this rigorosity, if we can attract funds, it can better help work together, all the initiative and funding opportunities in the region, we all are going to benefit at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. So, opportunities, rigorous attitude, and attracting more and more funds. Staying with the topic of EU enlargement, I can mention as well that Charles Michel, the President of the European Council, mentioned that by 2030 we should expect a new member of European Union. But here I will come back to Jan Rafael Lupomeski. How realistic is that, and how we can support to those countries to deepen their tries for joining the EU?
I totally agree with Director Sebe in what he said that 3C's initiative can be a laboratory for the states before joining the European Union. I'm convinced that having them as associated partners would be beneficial for both of the parts. So for the 3C initiative states, which can enlarge their political and business influence in these countries, and on the other hand, for the states, they can learn from the countries which undertook the process of assessing actually a larger organization in the past. So there are benefits for both sides. On the other hand, it's a little bit a wishful thinking. I would like to have these countries in the EU as soon as possible. I think the most of the leaders of the 3Cs initiative states would like to have them. The goal to get Moldova and Ukraine to the European Union was declared by the leaders of Lithuania, Latvia, Czech Republic. Poland is actually speaking about it as well. So all the countries from our region, from the 3Cs initiative regions. On the other hand, we need to be realistic. Unfortunately, Europe is not so open to the new enlargement, how the Brussels elites are declaring now before the European elections. I think European elections. The upcoming elections in June will bring a lot of changes in European politics, because the European elections in the most Western countries has a very low turnout, and all extreme parties from the right and from the left are actually mobilizing their voters. So very a lot of national parties will gain bigger influence in the European Parliament, and mostly these movements are not in favor of an enlarging European Union. So I'm not sure if we can be so sure that by 2030 we will welcome new members. The way will be more difficult in my opinion. I wish we can welcome new members by 2030, but the main message I wanted to answer is that we will see after the European election, when the new European Commission will be formed, and that will tell us a lot more about the next development.
Thank you very much. We can definitely agree that the enlargement would be beneficial for our region. Whereas, as you've said, we need to be realistic here, and we need to take a look at what European elections will bring in June. Therefore, I highly encourage our viewers to follow our website and follow our future events and articles that will be published on our site. And gentlemen, we spoke about economic cooperation, we spoke about enlargement. Let's move on to security. During the summit, it was underlined that importance of of cooperation between our states and US is crucial for all of us. Therefore, looking at what's happening beyond the eastern border, I'd like to ask you, can we expect a deepened military or security cooperation between our region and the US? Jan Rafael Lukomecki, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, the same what I said by the last question, I will repeat, but with other countries, because this is really an election year, and we are expecting the elections in October, November in the United States, and the result of that elections will tell us more about the U.S. presence in Europe. And it will be a crucial question because if Donald Trump will be re-elected, the focus of the United States will turn to Indo-Pacific region, to Indo-Pacific region. So there will be a big shift from the transatlantic area to Indo-Pacific area. I think all of the countries are aware of this challenge and are trying to actually to lure the U.S. Representatives to the Three Seas Initiative, to the Three Sea Initiatives and to our region. We can see in the last months a lot of bilateral visits between the Central European countries and United States. In March, there was the Polish president with Polish prime minister visiting Joe Biden in White House. Actually, yesterday, the Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala was visiting Joe Biden in the White House, and actually at the same time, the Polish President Andrzej Duda was visiting the United Nations. And was visiting the former president Donald Trump, and we can see much more of these bilateral visits in these countries. So all of the countries are trying to lure the U.S. representatives to the region and to foster the military cooperation as well. But everything depends on the U.S. elections in October, November.
Thank you very much. As you've said, this is a election year, European elections, US elections. We need to take a look at it. What will it bring for us? And same question to Mr. Sebe. US engagement in our region, what can we expect in the future?
Well, from the national point of view, the involvement of the US is essential if we want to have a secure region. And for that sense, we have already done some concrete steps toward advancing both the bilateral and multilateral relations inside NATO. For instance, there are discussions now being announced that are going to have by 2040 one of the biggest NATO bases here in Romania, in Dobruja, Mihail Cogălnicianu. It will be in principle a small city with all the facilities that I think that will show the long-term engagement. Also, we have invested in and we are going to invest more in airports and so on, so we can have a better connectivity. For instance, in the question of the Cincu military base in Transylvania, where we have an important French force. So I think it's important not only to have the United States involved, but also other major European states like France. So in the case of Romania, in a way, the cooperation with France is also natural due to our historical ties. And also, it is important to have the US involved not only militarily, but also economically. So having more US investments in the region is crucial. Solving, in the case of Romania, the problem of US visa is also essential, and we have done also steps in that. And we should also, at the end of the day, be able to provide to our partners something that we can do, meaning infrastructure. Infrastructure is in our power to put into place. We, in my opinion, cannot expect for the US to come and build highways in our place or to build railways. So if we can show that we can do our part of the bargaining, meaning we'll buy this railway highway from north south via Carpathia or rail to sea, and with adjacent issues in the Balkans, then if we have this mobility, then we can also once more prove our reliability as partners and hope a more sustained US presence. Also, it is important, and I come back to the issue of money. The famous 2% GDP for NATO that the states in the region and state in NATO members should be able to provide in order to show that uh, where we put our money where our mouth is, how to in a way. Meaning, if we say that we want security, we should also be able to make the significant step in our side. Build roads, build highways, build digital connectivity, and also allocate enough money for security and defense so we may be able to defend ourselves with the US support. So at the end of the day, having the US in the region is going to be a thing even more important in the future, and I'm quite optimistic about the possibility of having in the next decade a stronger US presence here, no matter the electoral administration. We should not depend, in my opinion, on elections, but rather on principle and on a sound strategy that goes both sides of the political spectrum in the US and also back home.
Thank you very much. Speaking of money and infrastructure, we speak about development. Recently, European Investment Bank announced a investment fund of 180 billion euros, which will be dedicated for enhancing the competitiveness of our region. And here, my question to you is: looking at how we are developing now and how much funds we are receiving, can we become a huge economic powerhouse in the upcoming year? Looking at the not only European map but even broader. Jan Rafael Lupomeski.
Thank you for this question. Yes, we can if we will be together as a region. For U.S. investors, unfortunately, they don't. For them, our countries like Czech Republic, Poland, or Romania, they are not so interesting as solely states. As a region, we can be interesting for the investors because as a region, we are speaking about a big market with big results, which is important for the US investors. We are a very lucrative partner for investors as well in terms of the new technologies which are coming. We have well educated people from IT businesses. We are investing in cyber security as well, which is new or not new, but which is very developing topic now in the business in the business world. So as a region, we can create a good offer for the investors, and so we can lure the investors. If you would do it by ourselves, so each country by itself, it will be much more difficult to get attention, and that's why we see that there are these business forums now actually which are accommodating which are by the summits and which are following the summits. We had a six business forum in Vilnius now already, where more than 1,000 businesses took part in that, and so it's crucial to act together. Mhm.
Thank you very much. So, in order to become a powerhouse, we need to stay together, invest in innovations, technologies, and cybersecurity. Let's move to Mihai Sebe, 3Cs Initiative region as a future economic powerhouse. What's your view on that?
Well, I think we can do the better part in our from the regional powerhouse because we come from a region where we have almost everything to build. Unlike our other countries of the EU from the Western Europe, we still are lagging behind regarding infrastructure, digital economy, and so on. And also having the advantage of starting from scratch, at least in the digital side, we may be on top of the EU charts regarding, for instance, internet speed and so on. So we have also the advantage of having a more flexible workforce than in Western Europe due to the fact that we have already undergone a very painful transition from a centralized economy in the communist period to market economy. So having this transition period in mind, we can do better and we can take advantage of the dual digital and green transition. But in the same time, we need to have in mind that we should not have economic growth for the sake of economic growth. We should not have only an consumption-based economy, but rather we should have in mind that the end result should be the welfare of our citizen, and we should have in mind this quote, nobody left behind regarding economy. Because if the economic growth is unequal, if we still have pockets of poverty in the region, we are going to have troubles in the future in the upcoming elections. Poverty generates frustration, popu- feeds up populism, and it also feeds up attitudes that may not help us in the long term. Also, our region needs to deal with another problem if we want to fully benefit from our economic potential. And I don't speak about the infrastructure, but rather about the demographic problem. We are faced for decades we have been affected by brain drain. A lot of the young people in the region went abroad to work, and not in the region as such, but rather in US, Western Europe, and other developed countries. And we need to find ways to bring them back and to create opportunities for our diasporas in other countries. Also, we need to take into consideration how we can have a balanced population growth, and we need to manage the question of economic migration. If we want growth, we need to have this balance between intensive labor economic growth that requires a lot of manpower, and also how we can invest more in new technologies to build automatized and factories and so on. So a balance between old-fashioned industry and new tech might just do the trick in the region if we can work together, if we can go from north to south without any major roadblocks, and if we can solve the problem of labor force and we prepare for the future of labor in our region. Having this all this on the agenda. I know it may sound a lot, but this is something that we are forced to do it either we want or not. And now we have the opportunity to set up the terms for our future and not let other trends, market trends, to dictate how the region is going to develop. So in a way, I know no pressure, but this is the situation in the region. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As you've said, the demography is a crisis that we still need to deal with and find a solution for. Gentlemen, coming back to our debate and coming to an end of the debate, let's have some predictions for the last minutes of our fantastic discussion. 3Cs initiative is still developing, it's extending. Some people say that the new members should be Nordic countries, especially those that recently joined NATO, Sweden, Finland. Regarding strategic partnership, some people would see India as a next huge strategic partner. Who would you see? Which country would you see as a next member as a next strategic partner. Jan Rafael Lupomeski.
Thank you for this question. So I'm very happy that Finland and Sweden joined NATO. I've been attending a lot of discussions of the new cooperation of the North countries, and I'm convincing these countries they should more cooperate with Poland and with the Baltic states, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, because they are more cooperating now, for example, with United Kingdom and with Denmark, and then they are trying to build this Baltic Sea, closing actually Russia from the Baltic basin, actually, how they called it. So I'm very happy about this development in the north, in the north of Europe. But I'm not convinced these countries should join the Three Seas Initiative as a full members, because the Three Seas Initiative is about countries who has a very common experience. We can see there only actually one to two exceptions. Only Austria and Greece, the newest member, is not sharing a very common experience of the countries from the second half of the 20th century. So I'm not a friend of inviting everyone to make the biggest organization in the world or in Europe. Rather, in my opinion, it is more beneficial to focus on what the initiative had as its goals at the beginnings. With India, it's the same as with Japan. The region needs to have strategic partners, and that the strategic partner is the best description we can have. I think it would be beneficial to have India as a strategic partners, because India is becoming more and more important, and because of the supply chain, again, as a route actually from Asia to Europe. So the India Europe route. So it's good to have them as a strategic partner. But the question was where I would like to see the enlargement. So I would love to see the enlargement in the countries which we mentioned already. It's Moldova, that's Ukraine, but foremost the Western Balkan countries to join the Three Seas Initiative. There is this burden. We know that Three Seas Initiative is assembly of countries which are member states of European Union. So the discussion should be if we can take some countries without EU membership, and at the same time declaring to Brussels that it's not a competition, it will stay economical platform with a new enforced sense for security in the region.
Thank you very much for sharing your views on that. Mihai Sebe, same question to you. Short prediction about possible new members and new strategic partners.
If we keep the current already established tradition about new members, I think that as a participating state, Sweden and Finland might just be the ideal candidates. And why do I say that? Because they are EU member states, they have a developing infrastructure, and they can close the north side of the Three Seas Initiative. So if we have in mind possible associated participating state, I believe the fact that Montenegro was present here in Vilnius and expressed its interest might just be a good sign for the future. I think that we should explore more, as in the question of associated participating state, the other EU candidate states from Western Balkans, Georgia may also be a associate candidate for to be an associated participating state, and why not the Republic of Turkey, who is also a candidate state and is a crucial state if you have in mind the fact that it controls the straits and its important role playing the security balance in the Black Sea. As regards strategic partners, I agree with the idea of India, but I believe that we should do more to bring in my personal opinion, South Korea. Romania and also Poland has important economic ties with South Korea. We have important investors, South Korean investors in our countries, and I think it in a way might just be easy for them to persuade them to become strategic partners. And if we can go from Japan, South Korea, India, all the way to our region, we may have an important array of democratic strategic partners because all these countries have in common, other than economic potential, the fact that they are democracies. And I think that 3C's initiative should focus in the next 2 years on this important side. Close the gap inside the EU with participating states from the north, the candidate countries as associated participating states, and then these two possible strategic partners. While also we need to put better use to already existing strategic partners. It's not enough for a country to be a strategic partner, but rather we should all see the benefits of these strategic partners. And if the benefits come in visible form in 1 year time, 2 year time, we may also be in the position where other important countries knock on our door saying, let's be friends in the future. So, but it all depends again, and this is something that I always repeat also to myself, on our own personal responsibilities. The 3Cs initiative is a regional born initiative. It's our own responsibility, and it will depend on us either if it grows up or it fades due to poor investment, poor strategic decision, lack of financing. In a way, I like to use this comparison with the Little Prince because this is this time of year when the author was born, saying that the 3Cs initiative is our own personal rose, and we need to do all our best to keep it safe and in a very complicated jungle where we live nowadays. So, it, at the end of the day, these are my 2 cents on very short-term predictions for the 3Cs initiative.
Thank you very much. Responsibility. This is an important statement to finish our today's event with. Gentlemen, many thanks to you for joining me today and for sharing your expertise with our viewers. Dear followers, thank you for being with us today. And I highly recommend you to follow our next events and publication. I wish you all a pleasant rest of the day and rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. A pleasure. Have a nice evening.